جناب آقای محمود تجلیمهر متخصص مخابرات و زیرساختارهای اینترنت هستند. ایشان پروژه‌های مخابراتی بسیاری را در کشورهای مختلف جهان از جمله ایران مدیریت کردند. آقای تجلیمهر با موضوع محدودیت دسترسی به اینترنت و جاسوسی شهروندان سخنرانی خواهند کرد. بفرمایید.
Thank you very much for joining us in this session on the human rights violation in Iran, the different aspects. I would like to focus on the internet access and the limitation imposed by the Islamic Republic of Iran as a human rights violation. The point is here that the Islamic Republic of Iran is trying always to limit, to block, or just to cut off the access of the Iranian citizen to the information on the internet, and this is it goes along together with the spying on the citizen in different aspects. Let's say in the internet traffic, in their connections, in the email, and whatever the citizens do on the internet, then. And depending to that is the role of the international companies in delivering the.
با عرض پوزش به زبان ترجمه زبان فارسی در کانال 3 است. ممنون. ببخشید.
Okay. Yes, and the role of the international companies in delivering such an infrastructure necessary for all these activities to the Islamic Republic of Iran, because those systems are high-tech systems, and Iran is not capable in producing or designing and even operating of those systems. This is something we would like to address here. According to the latest official figures in Iran, we have around 35 million citizens with access to internet. So this is quite a considerable numbers, is about 40% of the Iranian population. The methods of access to internet are usually DSL, WiMAX, and still analog modems, and mobile phones with increasing tendency, because this is also the tendency worldwide that the internet over mobile phone is becoming more and more popular, and this is also valid for Iran. Right from the beginning, the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran always tried to limit, block, or just cut off the access to internet depending on the situation and wherever they could. So initially they started around 10-12 years ago with creating a kind of filtering system, very simple, to block access to certain websites. Typical websites for these blocking systems were usually mainly the first step informational websites, so news agencies, newspapers, TV channels as they existed at that time, and they always say that they would even block access to the immoral sites, so pornographic content and so on. But we have in all these years witnessed that their main focus was to block the access to information, not to the pornographic sites. Just in order to bypass the filtering system, the users usually use anti-filtering systems based on technologies available such as VPN, SSL, and other technologies, and try always to hide their content in order to bypass the filtering system. This is something they are still doing. Also, the filtering system is very sophisticated currently, but still the users manage somehow to bypass it. And still they have access to internet, but with difficulties, and it needs a certain, let's say, capability in dealing with the system, with technology and software and configuration and all stuff. It means that the part of the internet users are completely blocked because they cannot work with anti-filtering systems. Another action of the government was in order just to even somehow block the users who are using anti-filtering system, was to play with the speed of the access. So the DSL access in Iran is limited to 120K for residential users. and 512K for businesses. So just to give you a comparison, we have in Europe today internet access starting at 2 megabit per second, going to 16, 32, 50, or even if you have cable TV access into 100 megabit per second, just to give you a feeling what it means. So the DSL access is similar to the ISDN we had years ago here in Europe. So the access is limited. So they play even with this internet speed in order to make it practically impossible to access, let's say, multimedia content, TV stations, YouTube, and so on. So it is practically impossible because you also need to use anti-filtering system that consumes itself 30% of your access. So this is another, let's say, countermeasure of the Islamic Republic of Iran to control the access to internet and to even limit it. But if we just, let's say, summarize all the activities in the last 12, 15 years, and let's say the effort and resources and costs in developing this filtering system and trying to limit the access to internet, the government has not been successful. This is the result of today. They could not manage really to completely control the access of the citizens to internet. So this is the result. We have seen all this in the controversial presidential elections in 2009, how the people managed to take clips with their mobile phone and upload it to the to YouTube and other sites and send information out of the country. So they still manage it, and we have seen that the citizen journalism was born using this limited internet infrastructure. They are currently trying, the government is currently trying to deploy a kind of so-called national internet. This is something, how they call it. It is in general a kind of company's intranet, as everyone knows here. This is a kind of intranet with limited access, a little controlled access to the outside world. They are trying to deploy this countrywide. So whether they can manage it to build such a thing, we doubt it that they can manage it, but they are putting considerable budget on this to make this happen. This is currently they are trying to do. On the mobile telephony side, we have another activities. So what they are trying to build and even to expand it is the location-based services. So this is a useful service that we are using here almost everywhere in Europe and let's say in the democratic world to find, for the users to find your own position where you are currently, or if you are looking for something, if you want to use the, let's say, a map to get to somewhere. So this is a service based on location-based services, the positioning of your own mobile phone or of the mobile phone of somebody else. For example, parents can find their children or friends can find each other. They use this technology to spy on the citizen in the way that they can mark certain people and they can observe them where they're going, what they do, or if they leave, for example, a region, they get an alarm, the security services, or they enter a certain region and so on. So they are using this only to spy the people and to monitor targeted persons. So usually, let's say, almost in all cases, the oppositional people and activists. There is one point, these location-based services, it is important to address that those infrastructure do not belong to the standard telecommunication infrastructure. So they are not, let's say, the so-called double usage technologies. So they are only designed for finding the position of a mobile phone. And another aspect is that they use deep packet inspection. This is a new technology to control and monitor the data traffic in all the levels. That means if you send an email, if you chat with someone, or if you get an access to website or whatever you do, they can control it at every level. So this is a very complex and sophisticated system. and they get this technology from outside. This is something we would like to address here. There are several international companies involved in providing the government with this infrastructure. We had a discussion in 2009 after this, the protests movement in Iran. European companies were involved together with the Chinese and interesting some American companies. There was a huge international public attention to this. And some of these companies, such as Nokia, Siemens Networks, Ericsson, and some others, they declared that they would respect their human rights and they would stop working with Iran in this aspect, and they would just maintain the existing contracts without issues to the human rights. But in this situation, Chinese companies use the situation and replace the Americans and the Europeans in Iran, and they are not only delivering Iran with the infrastructure, but also operating part of it. And this is, let's say, a new tendency, and we think that we need really international attention to this activity. Chinese companies like Huawei Technologies and ZTE, they are currently very active in Iran, and we have been partly successful in, let's say, gaining attention of the international opinion to this. So we have discovered last year that the Chinese companies also use American systems, so hardware and software, without the knowledge of the American companies, and they provided Iran with those systems by just changing the labels and whatever they did. And the consequence of this was that currently FBI is investigating the situation, the Department of Commerce and the US Congress. They are investigating the system, and these two companies are excluded from every tenders, let's say the governmental tenders in the US. And we believe that we need similar actions in other countries. So European Union and other developed countries that are capable in providing those system infrastructure, we need an access control. This is a clear request, and I think that this is even the right place to address this point. So one last point I would like here to address is that none of these systems used for filtering, for spying, for positioning of the mobile phones, etc., for deep packet inspection, belong to the standard telecommunication infrastructure. You don't need all this. This is only used for those kind of activities. That means the infrastructure, telephony and internet infrastructure, is not influenced by any means if the, let's say, the international companies or let's say developed countries stop providing Iran with those infrastructure. So the normal telephony service will be still in place. This is something we need to clarify, because sometimes there are, let's say, arguments from the companies saying that this is a double usage of the infrastructure. This is not the case. Thank you very much.